morning and happy Sunday. Welcome back to the Humble Healer podcast and beautiful snow outside in Massachusetts here. And thank you for tuning in. Today is game day and hopefully I will be able to beat the Buffalo Bills today and win our division. So go Patriots. So today we'll talk about a life principle that belong to Stoicism. Something that I just learned about last year, but the more I learn about Stoicism, the more I realize that is the way that I have been trying to or striving to live my life, and it's very consistent and similar to how I would like to live my life. So based my moral values, and there are a lot of similarity between Stoic principles and what I learned through religion, Buddhist teaching principles, and Christian ones too, about how to cultivate your wellness, how to live your life just to be better than yourself from the previous day and to help others, to serve humanity. There's a lot of similarities, and there will be some messages that you already heard about from previous episodes, and now we put them together in the episode about Stoicism, which is something that I think that it will help you become happier and more content and improve the lives of those around you also. And that's why I am talking about Stoicism as a way of life. It was founded nearly 2,500 years ago in ancient Greece by a man named Zeno, who, after losing his fortune in a shipwreck, moved to Athens to become a philosopher. Stoicism, unlike many other philosophy, is intended to help you live life. It's not concerned with abstract, esoteric problems, rather seeks to help you answer that eternal question: how should you live? What do you need to do to live a good life? The Stoics taught that virtue was the highest good in life, and that to be virtuous, we must foster in ourselves virtues, four subtypes: courage, wisdom, moderation, and justice. What we know about Stoicism has, for the most part, come down to us through three figures: Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor, who kept a diary that was later published as Meditations; Seneca the Younger, a playwright who also wrote the canonical moral letters; and Epictetus, a formerly enslaved philosophy teacher whose lectures were captured by a student in a book called Enchiridion. So the lessons of Stoicism start with self-examination. We must first examine our preconceived notion and ask questions about our emotion, beliefs, and even the words we use each day. This is the way that we begin to investigate our own mind. Self-examination is no easy task, of course. Ego and self-deception will try to thwart your quest for self-knowledge, assuring you that you already know yourself. It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. So as you examine yourself, stay humble, stay open, and receptive, like a good student. Basically, stay a lifelong student. Always, there's more to learn. What you see might be hard to look at. This is bad habits, pride, self-regard. Push through the pain and keep looking. It's important to take a stock of everything, even if it's uncomfortable. If you don't take an honest look at your less lovely qualities, you'll never be able to work toward changing them. Self-reflection is important. Remember the lesson where we talk about don't take things personal, because people tend to make their opinions about us based on how they feel about themselves. So when we feel good about ourselves, when we do have self-love and compassion, when we are willing to correct our less desirable behavior and attitudes and qualities, we will try to improve ourselves. So when we are free, or at least try to get rid of all the preconceived prejudice and negative notion about certain things, even before getting to know them, we should not make any judgment or opinions. In the book, The Four Agreements, that the great Tom Brady, my football hero, based his life on, one of the lessons, or the first one, is be impeccable with your words. Be impeccable means that examine yourself first. Before you throw out your opinions about some things or judge something, judge yourself first, and only say something when it's necessary, when it's kind, and when it's true. So that's important to check before you say something to someone. If it doesn't meet those three qualities or characters or criteria, then better keep silent. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we should look for cause and effect in our thoughts and action and try to understand which kind of action result from particular prejudices. Another way to identify flaws in thinking is to stay alert to an all too human tendency, automatically and involuntarily adding interpretation to what you observe. 17th century samurai swordsman and philosopher Musashi had some choice Stoic words for this impulse, and he was not even formally a Stoic, although, according to Musashi, a person can look at something with an observing eye or a perceiving eye, and there's a big difference between the two. The observing eyes see things for what they truly are. In contrast, the perceiving eyes see things with meaning, and they tend to add to its own spin and prejudices to things, and this can create trouble, causing you to create problems when there are none, or treat a complete stranger like a high school enemy simply because he looks like your high school arch enemy, for example. That's why it's important to pause and reflect and realize that you're acting on impulse and not on any rational thought. In addition to self-reflection, it's also important to be aware of those around you. The people you spend your time with will influence the kind of person you become. If you're around people who push you to be better, you will improve. Of course, the opposite is also true. You should keep someone in mind whom we respect and admire. The Dalai Lama for me, Desmond Tutu, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, all those figures. They are Abraham Lincoln is another figure. If you get to know yourself and others better, you'll be able to see your action in a clearer light. And this clarity will help you choose actions that are courageous, wise, moderate, and just. The second lesson from the Stoics is maintaining focus. It helps people like me the most, those with ADHD, when we learn how to maintain focus, stay with the moment, and not wandering to 100 different places. And that's our natural tendency, but it does affect everyone else too, to a lesser extent. Marcus Aurelius had a method for eliminating distraction. He advised that we approach each task as if it were our last. Whatever you're doing, pretend it's your last act. The final thing you will do before death, and try to take this mental exercise seriously. The effect can be pretty incredible, not only erasing distractions, but increasing quality. After all, this is your last act, so you better make it count. Remember my previous episode about the important message to your subconscious. Life is short and may not see another sunrise tomorrow, so live today like your last. Another good technique for maintaining focus is recognizing and accepting that some things are simply beyond your control. Another message to your subconscious. I cannot control what life brings, but I can control how I respond to them. Do you choose to respond to failures and lessons that life gives to inch you closer to eventual success, or as simply that you are meant to fail no matter what? What you choose decides where you will end up. For the Stoics, there's only one thing you can control, your mind. What about your body? Well, it's going to get sick or injured whether you like it or not. As a physician, I see this on a daily basis. People are surprised a lot of times when they come down with something, especially something serious. People are surprised that they got sick before their vacation. You have no control over that. It just happened. You can control, however, your thought or how you respond to your sickness or the setbacks in life. So ignore everything that's not your mind, everything that's not in your control. Practically speaking, you can use this knowledge to create a useful daily routine. In the morning, take a minute to remind yourself of what you can and cannot control and only focus on the former before you go to work. For example, you can't control the weather, the rain, the snow, but you can control the fact that you can give yourself extra 15 minutes to get to work. And you have to be patient about the commute because the traffic will definitely be slower. Know what to expect and you will never hear me complain about the weather because of that reason, because I have no control over what the weather will be. Just face them and deal with them and move on. At midday, remind yourself that the only ability you really possess is the capacity to make choices. And you can make choices midday or during the day, anytime. You stay in the mind and digest system. Stay in that system all day long as you can. At the end of the day, you find yourself more fulfilled, not tired mentally or physically. Do things in order to stay in that mindset. And before you turn in for the night, consider how much it is outside your control and show gratitude for the good things that have happened throughout the day and for your ability to overcome whatever resistance, obstacles, and challenges that came up during the day. Lesson number 3, live life as a journey, not a destination. Savor the process as small progresses daily bring about big positive changes. Remember my lesson during the episode about partner sexual relationship, which you can apply this lesson to anything else you can do in life. Slow things down, focus on the process and not the outcome. Focus on the journey and not the destination. Focus on your partner instead of your own performance. And almost always, the process, the destination, and your own performance will improve. Marcus Aurelius wrote that if you want to change something about yourself, the best day for action is always today. Think of yourself like an archer taking aim at a target. You're only going to hit the target that you aim at, and you certainly only hit something if you actually let go of that arrow. Ultimately, procrastination is best thought of as a form of resistance that blocks you from achieving your goal. So how can you lower that resistance? Again, enjoy the process, set goals, take aim at that target, and becoming your best self. But once you've done this, don't fixate on what you're trying to achieve. Just enjoy the journey. You're already doing your best. Just let go of that arrow and whatever the outcome, accept it and move on. Lesson number 4, set expectation. Expect the unexpected resistance, obstacle, and challenges. This is one of the messages to our subconscious that I recommended. You welcome these unexpected challenges that life throw at you. It will inevitably happen to every one of us. Maybe not every day, but a lot of our daily lives. Welcome them, accept them. Making plans, setting goals, having ambition is so important. Plans can only get you so far. After all, no plan can take into account all the obstacles that might arise on the path to its completion. Which is why to navigate life most effectively, we need to find ways to deal with obstacles. Stoics know this. Instead of obsessively planning ahead, try to factor in every possible complications. And Stoics foster creativity, independence, and inventiveness. This makes them flexible as well as resilient in the face of changing circumstances. In short, prepare to overcome any challenge that life throws in their path. Stoics train themselves to turn obstacles into their advantages, to use obstacles as an opportunity. One way to achieve this is by having what we call a reverse clause. In other words, a backup option. For instance, what do you do if your computer erased your work? No problem. It's an opportunity to start fresh on a new and improved version. You get stuck in traffic? It's an opportunity to finish your audiobook. Having a reverse clause for every situation means your progress will never be halted. Each obstacle will become an opportunity to make progress elsewhere. This is such an important skill that there's an author, Ryan Holiday, wrote an entire book about it. The obstacle is the way. So keep the words of Marcus Aurelius fresh in your mind. The impediment to action advances action. What stands the way become the way. That will end the first episode on the series about Stoicism, the way of life, that I recommend my way of life in order to find contentment, happiness, and also to bring about happiness to those people around you. So I hope you find this informative and give me any feedback. Subscribe channel, share and like, and hit the bell notification as usual. Thank you so much for your time and happy Sunday, and go Patriots.